Thomas Hunt Morgan was born in 1866 in Lexington, Kentucky. As a young man, he enjoyed several summers of doing geological and biological fieldwork in the Kentucky mountains. In 1886, he received a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Kentucky, and then proceeded to Johns Hopkins University to receive his PhD in 1890. He first attended the Marine Laboratory at Annisquam, Massachusetts, during the summer of 1886, which was the predecessor of the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole. In 1891, he was appointed Associate Professor of Biology at Bryn Mawr, succeeding his friend and fellow Johns Hopkins graduate, E.B. Wilson. In this excellent women's college, he taught a number of students who made great contributions to biology, including Lillian Sampson, who worked in embryology and regeneration. Morgan later married Lillian in 1904, and they had a long and productive life together, with children and mutual interests in biological research. In 1904, Morgan followed Wilson again and was appointed Professor of Experimental Zoology at Columbia, a position he held for 24 years. Then in 1928, Morgan became the Professor of Biology at the California Institute of Technology, where he remained for the rest of his life. There, he organized a new division of biology at Caltech, along with the Marine Laboratory at Corona del Mar. During his summers, beginning back in 1888, he began working in Woods Hole, first at the United States Fish Commission, and then at the Marine Biological Laboratory. Here, he made many friends and played a large part in the scientific activities in several laboratories. His wife, Lillian, also carried out research at the MBL. Morgan became a trustee here at the MBL in 1897. Over the years, Morgan received many honors and awards, including the Darwin Medal in 1924, the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1933, and the Copley Medal of the Royal Society in 1939. One of Morgan's early experiments involved regeneration of earthworms. In 1897, he published the first of a long series of papers on regeneration in a wide variety of animals, including planarians, crustaceans, coelenterids, teleost fishes, and amphibia. This work led to his masterful summary in the book Regeneration. He continued his studies on regeneration, leading to many articles in the Biological Bulletin published by the MBL. As early as 1903, Morgan became interested in asking what determines the sex of an organism, eventually coming to the idea that sex is determined by chromosomes. Beginning in 1906, his work focused on the complicated life cycle of the phylloxerans and aphids. Morgan showed that the chromosomal interpretation of sex determination was the only prevailing interpretation that made sense with regard to the established facts. This was one of Morgan's most brilliant achievements, involving great skill and patience in the collecting and care of the animals, insight in seeing what were the critical points to study, and ability to recognize and to follow up unexpected facts. The results served to demonstrate the role of the chromosomes in sex determination at a time when that importance was seriously questioned by many biologists. Morgan's approach to science also showed the value of having a hypothesis, testing it, and testing it with another organism, and revising the hypothesis with regard to observations. In 1908, Morgan began work with Drosophila, commonly referred to as fruit flies, in the hope he could understand variations within the species. He tried a wide range of variables to induce mutations, including temperature, salts, sugars, acids, alkalis, and even radium and X-rays, typically relying on simple techniques and equipment such as hand lenses. His lab group of students and researchers cultured fruit flies in glass milk bottles that they accumulated. They typically put a piece of paper in each culture bottle, often from Morgan's own correspondence. Using breeding techniques, Morgan showed that sex in fruit flies is correlated with particular eye color in predictable ways. That led to his Nobel Prize and the foundation of the field of genetics. During his period at Columbia University, Morgan took undergraduates into his laboratory and gave them all desks in what came to be known as the fly room. This was a rather small room with 8 desks crowded into it, in which students reared Drosophila for the next 17 years. Morgan let his students and assistants direct that work, while he carried out his own research projects, which often featured the marine organisms he studied at the MBL. Students referred to Morgan as the boss. But this was a term of affection and respect, not at all intended to imply that he was a taskmaster, since he encouraged them to find their own projects to pursue. It must have been quite an experience working for Professor Morgan. The boss wants me to find the white eyes. Professor, are these the white eyes?
Nope.
These must be the red eyes. These must be the white eyes with the X chromosomes.
That's it.
Yes, this is it. Imagine working in the fly room for 17 years. At Columbia, the whole group regularly moved to Woods Hole each summer. They shipped the Drosophila cultures in barrels, and some of them continued their experiments. Morgan himself studied a lot of different questions in a wide diversity of different organisms, with chickens, pigeons, mice, rats, plants, as well as many marine organisms. He asked about development, regeneration, heredity, and behavior in organisms as diverse as fiddler crabs, planarian worms, the sea squirt Siona, and many, many others. Morgan clearly had fun with his research, and students and colleagues reported that his enthusiasm and curiosity were contagious. Thomas Hunt Morgan was famous for his experimental research with the fruit fly, by which he established the chromosomal theory of heredity. He showed that genes are linked in a series on chromosomes and are responsible for identifiable hereditary traits. His work played a key role in establishing the field of genetics. He received the Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine, which is on display here at the MBL Library. We proudly reflect back on the life and accomplishments of Thomas Hunt Morgan here at the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole.